BM&FBOVESPA is the fifth largest stock exchange in the world. We have around 470 listed companies. We are the only exchange in Brazil for stock, commodities and futures, so we are quite important, and we have a strategic partnership with CME, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and we have other partnerships around the world. We are internationally.
And in terms of being its sustainability officer, what is your specific role? Are you judging what investments are in there, or do you provide an overall picture? Can you give us a sense of what your role is?
Yes, I have basically two roles. First of all is internally, because we are a listed company, listed in our exchange, so we have to do our homework, and we have so many initiatives, and we deal with our leadership and so on. And also we have a role as an exchange. We are the heart of capital markets, so we have structured programs with listed companies to stimulate them to adopt best practices, to pay attention in, for example, the climate change issues and so on. And also we deal with investors, because we are part of PRI, Principles for Responsible Investment commitment. And on the other hand, one side we talk to the listed companies, the other side we talk to the investors, and we try to stimulate the movement of sustainability in capital markets.
What can you tell about the development of sustainability in capital markets by looking at the people who invest in, not who invest, but who are listed in the Brazilian stock exchanges? Are there any indicators you can tell us in terms of growth in green products, green companies?
What can I say is that this movement is faster. Of course, it's not so fast as we would like, but now we receive some demands from the investors, mostly from Europe, but from Brazil and also. The investors are interested to understand what the companies are doing. The investors are asking for ESG information. That's why, for example, we have in Brazil an initiative called Reporter Explain for Sustainability Report to give this information to the investors particularly. So I think the movement is faster, and we have no way back. So we try to create products, new markets, and many alternatives to the investor community to prioritize this kind of investment.
That's interesting. So you can definitely see investors are more interested now in, I mean, sustainability is such a wide word, but they're interested in what the environmental integrity of companies, especially in Brazil.
Yes, they are, not only environmental, but also social initiatives. For example, we have heard from the investors that when one company is part of our sustainability index, they look at these companies with other eyes. They see these companies as more responsible, more concerned about the corporate governance issues, more concerned about the impacts and risks. So the investors, of course, would like to put their money in the best investment, and I have no doubt that the green and social investments nowadays is the best option.
And in terms of driving change, do you see this interest from investors as effective when you look at companies in Brazil? Are they reacting to this? Are they becoming more transparent? Are they reporting on their emissions and, I guess, I don't know, their impact on the rainforest? Is that something that's becoming clearer?
Yes, the listed companies in Brazil are quite open for our proposals to be transparent. But of course, we are fighting for the new world. We are creating a new world. So sometimes the options are not so the best one. We need to change. The mainstream continue to be financial, but more and more the social and environmental issues are coming in the place. So I'm quite optimistic, and I can say that listed companies in Brazil all the time are quite open for our options, for our alternatives, and for the dialogue. It's important.
And what do you sense as the sort of growth of the green sector in Brazil at the moment? Are you able to, if not put a figure on it, give us a sort of qualitative idea of how green issues and investments are developing in Brazil?
In fact, Brazil depends on the global movement. But I think we are doing our homework in in many areas. The companies are trying to create more options. The government also are trying to create more policies, and our, especially us and exchange as a self-regulator, create index and we are trying to establish a legal market for new markets such as carbon. So I think it's growing. Again, we depend on the global movement. That's why we are here at COP and try and hope to have good agreements and commitments to help this movement.
Just finally, in terms of the stock market, do you have any index where you rate companies on how, I don't know, how well they're reporting or how well they fare in terms of environmental integrity? Is there somewhere on the, I don't know, the BOVESPA website where you can sort of see how green companies are in Brazil?
Yes, we have two sustainability index, and they are very powerful tools. The first one is the Corporate Sustainability Index, EASY. The EASY is the most consolidated index in Brazil. We launched it in 2005, but it's important to say that 2 years ago we created a new dimension in the questionnaire, which is climate change dimension, 2 years ago, because we'd like to give to the listed companies a very clear message that climate change is something that impacts business. So we created this dimension. But the other index is more related to climate change, is the Carbon Efficient Index. We launched this index in COP Cancun in 2011. We invited the 50 most liquid companies in Brazil to be part. It's a voluntary initiative. And what's important, we balance the liquidity with the GHG emissions. And before the index was launched, around 70% of the listed companies, these listed companies in Brazil, did not report the emission data. And after the index was launched, around 74% of these companies are reporting. So it's more transparency for the market. And also we have ETF based on ICO2. So again, we are trying to create this market. We are trying to give to the investors new option, and the companies in Brazil are open to these instruments. What is most important.
So just to be clear, 74% of Brazil's largest 50 companies are reporting on their emissions?
Yes, after the index was launched, we achieved this result. Of course, it's not because of the index. There are other initiatives in Brazil, but there is 70% of the 50 most liquid companies in Brazil nowadays report their emission data. We need to increase this number. Of course we need. But if you note the figure 2 years ago, it was 70% did not report. So it was a good advancement.
Okay, this is definitely is my final question. But in terms of next year, moving forward, how do you intend to get that 70% up to 100, or how do you intend to expand the 50 companies that you focus on to 100? What are your plans for sort of pushing this forward? Because it sounds really interesting.
Yes, first of all, the index asked to the companies to report only the scopes 1 and 2. So now we are, with our technical partner, expanding this to the scope 3. It's not easy because the scope 3, there are some things that we need to understand more. So the plan for the next year is to expand the scope of the reporting, and then we will go to the 100 most listed companies in Brazil to invite more companies to be part of the index. And you know, I think the advance now is faster. The most difficult is to start this movement, and the GHG inventory, it's not something so easy to do. The first scope, the scope 1 and 2, it is, but when you talk about the complete inventory, it's not so easy. So I think in 1 year or 2 years more, probably we can have this data. The 50 most liquid companies and more in Brazil will be reporting their emissions data.